On this week's episode of Hell's Kitchen Season 23, burgers are the main theme for this week's challenge for the contestants. One chef almost forgets, well, they do forget that one important ingredient for their burger. One chef almost calls it quits before service, with Gordon Ramsay encouraging them to stay. A solid service from both teams, with nobody being in risk for elimination. We've got so much to talk about in this week's Hell's Kitchen recap and review. Okay, so folks, this past week's of Hell's Kitchen season 23 was a crazy episode, I have to say. So many big moments were happening this week, and just it was a crazy episode, which we're going to get into just a minute. So yeah, by the way, this is on the Monday, a little bit later again, but hey, it's better than me doing it last time on the night of the 5th episode. So yeah, so no, it's no really big worries there. But anyways, regardless of it's time to talk about this week's the previous episode for this week, because as this week's episode 6 for the show, I'm looking forward to that. And also we're going to the Masked Singer this week. There's actually no episode this week for 60s night because the Yankees and the Dodgers for the World Series is taking place, and especially around this time is when the World Series occurs. So yeah, it's not really fun. Now we don't get an episode this week, but we will be getting one next week, which is always good to see. But yeah, but I will say I am glad that we were informed that there wasn't going to be an episode this week, as Fox Flash has it. So yeah, it's all cool. We've got no episode, but I'm happy they confirmed it. But hey, we're here now. So yes, and it'll be 60s. It'll be 60s night, which is a night I'm really looking forward to seeing. I love the 60s because, in my opinion, the 60s are one of the best generations ever. Because we have the Beatles, the Everly Brothers, we've had Frankie Valli, we've had the Rolling Stones, Aretha, we've had just all these legendary people in that, in the 60s. And it's just so amazing we've got a theme for this. So I'm just so looking forward to next week. In terms of who I think is going to win Group B and who I think will get the bell, I'm confident who I think will win Group B, I think it will be Wasp. That's my prediction. And for the bell, I'm thinking it's going to be Goo. That's my honest opinion. But yeah, I hope I'm right because I really want to see both of them in the quarterfinals. That's what I'm really hoping for. But enough of that. Why don't we get straight into the episode? Because boy, we've got so much to talk about this week. As this one was probably the most intense episode, I think. So yeah, so we got to talk about So to start off the episode, if it's gonna, there we go. So to start off the episode, we had a scene with Anthony and Egypt. So, and this was after the second episode where Egypt had been up by 2 times in a row. He really hit his breaking point, and he had a really emotional. He got really emotional on the patio. And he was talking about how he has like a tough guy persona, but he may also mention that he felt a bit misunderstood by his teammates. And Anthony does check actually does check on him, and he even admitted that he does have a soft spot for Egypt, which is always lovely to see. And mentioned that misunderstanding can always turn into miscommunication. And this is very true. And I love Anthony as well. I'm really happy Anthony checked on Egypt, as he was genuinely emotional. So yeah, I'm really glad Anthony really checked on him. And generally, I'm loving Anthony this year. He's really grown one of my favourites in the competition. And he's definitely my pick to win so far. By the way, I will do my power rankings. The next after that, so you'll get the recap and review for Friday for sure, and then maybe Saturday or maybe Sunday, I will do my power ranking for my predictions for the rest of the season, if that makes sense. So yeah, so it really was emotional, seeing Egypt like this. And we're going to go into Egypt more about in the later on, because it was very powerful in terms of Egypt this week. So let's go to the challenge. So excuse me. So I've actually got a really bad throat, by the way. So I got a really bad cold. Well, I've got a bad cold, but I got a sore throat at the moment. I've had it today, so having a sore throat is not the best in a way. It really isn't. So, excuse me. Just give me a second. I need to blow my nose quickly. I'm sorry. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I didn't want to blow my nose in this video, so that's why I had to pause. I've got a tissue here anyway, so. Anyways, it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine. Anyway, as I was saying, both teams had to cook 7 burgers head to head. Since the blue team was short on one member, Kai was instructed to make 2 burgers, and they had 90 seconds to race for tickets. As they had tickets on the thingamajig. And then they had to collect ingredients and 35 minutes to create their burgers. And Kyle, ironically, actually forgot his tomato puree. Was it a tomato puree? I think it was a tomato puree. I think. I'm not too sure, but it was he missed something. He missed some like tomato puree thing for his burger, which didn't cost him a point. But anyways, and hamburger owner George Motz was the guest judge this week, and the score was 4-3, with the red team winning this week's challenge. And I will say again, it was well deserved in my opinion. And we'll go through the the challenges at the moment. So we had the bison burger with Brandon winning against Anne Marie. We had the chicken burger with Megan, who defeated Lulu. We had the shortbread burger, which Joe was defeated by Hannah. The venison burger, Egypt and Magali tied the point. The pork burger was Anthony, who won it and defeated Amanda. With the lamb burger, defeating Kyle. And the dry beef burger, and both Brittany and Kyle didn't get a point for that. So yeah, and that was that. And also something I noticed and watching the episode was in Joe's confessional, where I think he was talking about a relish that he was going to happen. He actually didn't put it on in time. It actually. So when he went to his confession, you could hear the producer say, when one of the producers say, "So what was in your relish?" And then Joe's response was, "If I had to tell you, I would have to kill you." And honestly, it was honestly so interesting that I don't think we've ever had a fourth wall break in terms of like that. We've never had like a producer talk, to a contestant. From what I remember, so to see that happen was honestly so interesting and very cool as well, because I love when this kind of thing happens. I think it's really cool, and especially the fourth wall is always so cool, especially like in shows, cartoons. When they break the fourth wall, it's so cool, and especially in videos as well. I actually love that. So, yeah, that was that. So the reward and the punishment. So the red team went bowling at the Foxwoods High Roller luxury lanes, and were gifted hex-clad sets by Chef Ramsay. And the blue team had to roll patties for a special style appetizer, breaking 100 pounds of beef burgers and grinding them by hand. And Brandon chose not to use his punishment pass, which is understandable. So yeah, by the way, I'll say I'm biased here, but I fucking love bowling. And so I would, and I've been a huge fan of bowling, and I think bowling's definitely up my lane. So I would have if I was Brandon, I would have used the punishment pass, in my honest opinion, because I love bowling, and I am not afraid to say it. Okay, I'm not afraid to say it. So yeah, I love bowling, and yeah, and then the challenge, the punishment, yeah. So that's really it for the punishment and the reward. Now we're going to talk about this moment here with Egypt and Chef Ramsay, because just before service, Egypt was actually thinking of actually quitting the competition because of how much it was getting to him, especially with him, getting um, you know, of him kind of like missing his family and how like he feel like his team was bringing him down. And Chef Ramsay actually, so that both Chef Ramsay and Egypt went to the storeroom, and basically he kind of chatted to him and told him that he still believed in him and he actually did choose to stay. And so basically he was basically telling like, and I got a quote here, and I'll read you what it says. So he pulled in Egypt into the storage room and for a chat, and he told him, "I see something in you that they don't." And while Egypt was getting really emotional, yeah, he actually Chef Ram was actually convinced him to remain in the competition and push through whatever personal issues he was having, to focus on himself, to focus on his family. And he mentioned that if I still I believe in you, so all I want you to do is just believe in yourself, and just all I ask you is not to throw in the towel. And both of them hugged it out, and it was just really, really emotional. Like, it's one of those moments that, in my opinion, that just makes Chef Ramsay such and I will talk about that because honestly, that moment with Chef Ramsay and Egypt in the story, in that moment, in my eyes, that was honestly is probably one of the most emotional, but like beautiful and heartwarming moments just I think I've ever seen on the show. Like, the way he actually convinced Egypt to continue staying to continue in the competition, and saying how much he saw in him, like, compared to the blue team did. And just honestly, it was this prep. Honestly, this scene right here honestly left me in tears. I remember I was so emotional watching this, as you can see how overwhelmed Egypt was, and Chef Ramsay was really like, you know encouraging him to continue. And it's just so incredible. It's just so incredible to see this side of Chef Ramsay, as, let's say, back in season 1, 3, he wouldn't have really cared. But the fact that he had the chance to speak with him, and with that prep talk, is honestly something so rare to see. And I don't think we'll see something like this again in a long time. Like, the closest I remember seeing something like this was Roberts back in season 5, where he opened up about his rough childhood, because he actually Chef Ramsay actually called him Bobby, and Robert actually went on to talk to him in his office that it was his father's name, and he had a really shit childhood growing up. And Ramsay even apologized for that. He acknowledged it. He even mentioned, I totally respect that. I apologize for calling you that, and I'll make sure it will never happen again. And it didn't happen again. Like, and it just goes to show deep down inside that whatever you think about Chef Gordon Ramsay, because for me, this honestly, deep down inside, this man is literally the man with a legit heart of gold. And seeing moments like this is just so incredible what he can do. And it honestly, it was just so emotional. And like I mentioned, to see Chef Ramsay like this to people, see this side of him, it's honestly incredible. As you can clearly tell, he actually cares about Egypt, and he actually cares about his contestants, and he wants the best out of them. So I've got so much respect for Gordon Ramsay. Honestly, my respect for him is literally up there. And I could just applaud him right now, because that man really is. He just seemed like he honestly just seems like the most nicest person. He just seems like such a nice person, and one of the only people that can guide people, like, compared to other chefs, he can guide people, and it's just incredible. It really is incredible. And with Egypt, after this episode, I could totally see Egypt having his like an underdog storyline where he can make it really far. And to be honest with you, after that moment there, I'm really hoping we see Egypt for a long time, because yeah, I'm really hoping that we do see him. So yeah, that was that. So we now go on to dinner service. and both teams were strong tonight. It was a good service all around. So there was no VIPs. From what I remember in the not much was happening, but so in terms of service, Joe indeed served the raw sliders, but he recovered. Whit served the raw scallops, forcing them to tell her and Megan to communicate. And I will say, with Whit this episode, especially this episode, I am a little bit worried actually that we could see like a down, like maybe like I'm hoping we don't see Wood have like a downward spiral. As it wasn't a very it was a bit of a rocky episode for Wood this episode. So I'm really hoping that she doesn't have like a downward spiral going along the line like Hassan did, or or Zach did, or from season 11. I'm really hoping that so that we don't she doesn't have like a downward spiral, but she recovered. And also we saw Diana actually propose to his actually had a proposal during the service, which was very sweet. And proposals yeah, so we had a proposal this week. So in the end, both teams completed service. Not too many mistakes this week, I will say, but in the end it was indeed revealed that both teams won service. But they did have a lack of communication from time to time. But regardless, both teams were declared the winners, and nobody was sent home this week. So I think with 2 weeks ago having two medical events, I think it's very fair that we had a non-elimination episode this week, and yeah, it was a really good episode this week overall. It was very emotional as well because like I mentioned with Egypt, and that prep talk with Chef Ramsay was really emotional, and I think I got a bit emotional after the challenge. Him beating himself up. But regardless, this was a very emotional episode, and I can't wait to see what happens on Thursday. So yep, so there you go, folks. That is my recap and review for Hell's Kitchen Season 23, Episode 5. So, what were your thoughts on the episode? Let me know in the comments below. And who do you think is going to be going home this week for the Episode 6? Now, I'm going to stick with my guess, and I think that Magali will be the boot. That's my prediction for next week, for the next episode at least. And like I said, I think she's really sweet. I think she seems very genuine, and I do like her. But I feel like she has been a bit rocky at the moment, especially in the challenges and in services. The two services that she was nominated, she was rocky. And yeah, I just have a feeling that we might be losing her this week. I mean, especially if the red team loses and she has a bad night, I think she will most likely be going home. But you never know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Magali could be the one going home next episode? Let me know in the comments below. But anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. If you did like it, please like and subscribe, post notifications on. I'd really appreciate that. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I'll see you guys next time for our next Hell's Kitchen recap and review.